Buck Angel é quem nós vamos ter a honra de falar hoje. Vai ser em inglês e vai ser memorável porque é a primeira pessoa trans no mundo aí que buscou os direitos, que criou aí várias aberturas aí para as pessoas trans e teve um alcance mundial, tanto como autor quanto produtor de filmes e faz parte da nossa história. Então é um grande prazer receber o Buck. Vocês vão ter depois no YouTube, no caso as legendas em inglês, para quem quiser depois acompanhar e também aqui pelo IGTV. Buck is already here, so we're going to invite him to the conversation. I would like to say thank you, Buck, for this great opportunity. It's amazing having you here. It's a great honor. We are huge fans of you, so thank you very much. Hi there. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm very happy to have you here. Like I was saying, you are part of the history of for all of us. It's amazing that you are alive. You have a lot of situations that help us, understand how is important to us feel like people, and it's amazing have you here. I can say how it's important for us.
Thank
Brazil
you.
loves you, so thank you very much.
Thank you. No,
Thank you.
one of my favorite cuts. So honestly, it means a lot to me that you reach out to me and that I could speak to the people of Brazil,
Yeah,
the queer people of Brazil. Like I understand what's happening there. I do. I have been there. It is,
right.
um, it's very similar to what's happening across the world, but I think Brazil has a lot of problems for the LGBT community.
Yes, it's the first country in the world, with the killings, who has
Yeah.
a lot of killings in trans communities. So it's important that we talk about it, because we are living in a very conservative place, and now with a government that is just like in the United States. We have a special version of Trump here, who is
That's,
Bolsonaro, who is
that's,
the worst. They are like symbolists. So we have a lot of problems here. I think it's the same situation. I
yes.
haven't seen your lives, and you talk about how voting, how it's important to vote, and about the election that can help us, make everything better. So I think it's extremely important. So it's it's really important that we talk about it.
And what's important, my friend, is that we have a country here in America called a democracy. And
Yeah,
democracy means that we, the people, get to make the vote of who gets to be the president of our country. People misunderstand. The president of the country works for us.
sure. Yes,
He
right.
us, but he is not working for us. He is
Sure.
working for him and for very rich corporations, very similar to Brazil.
Yeah, sure. We have special rights here for trans people. Uh,
Yeah,
they they can do surgery for free after stay for 2 years. In the psychiatry, it's
yeah,
free. But we can have no the rights can be changed
that's
because they are
right.
very conservative. So it can be over. So it's important that we stay together now and do the right thing. So
What is
it's
important
crazy.
is this. I want everybody in the world to hear what I say because it is the only way we will continue to have the freedom from our sexuality, our
Right.
gender, who we want to be in love with, who we want to marry, how we want to spend the rest of our life. The most important thing that every LGBTQ person in the world hears from me right now is this: set aside your differences. It
Right.
doesn't matter if you and I have a different opinion of what makes you gay or what makes you transgender or what makes you, it doesn't matter. What is the most important thing that you and I as a worldwide community. We are not just in America, Brazil, we are everywhere in the world. And if we
Right.
do not put our differences aside, we will not survive. They will tear us apart. They have already torn us apart. You know what happens?
Yes.
Tear people apart, it becomes weak. The structure falls. We are not strong. We are weak. And that is what I want the world to hear from me. Stop
Right.
it. And we must become a family before we are anything else.
True. So let's talk about you.
Yeah.
And how was your gender transition 25 years ago? You know, it's a long time. You just started, you become a pioneer, was the first one in many situations. How it feel like a whole model for so many, to so many?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's a big responsibility, you know, it's just like a superpower. So it's
It's,
like a strong superpower because a lot of people in Brazil knows you, learn
yeah.
about your history. So
Yeah.
it's great that you know I feel for me you're like a superhero. So tell to us
Very sweet.
all the emotional things that you feel about it.
Let me say, being a role model is a very special position to be in. It's a very, I feel very honored. I feel very grateful. But what I do know is this, it is a very delicate space to be in. Because when young people or anybody looks to you, they are looking to you for answers. And I don't
Correct.
have, I have no answers.
Just the knowledge, you know,
Yeah.
because you have been passing for many things in your life, so
Yeah.
many situations. So
What I want see. I want people to see that if you truly live to your own authenticity and you live truly for yourself, it doesn't matter what anybody says about you. I live for myself first. I am me. It doesn't matter what anybody says. That's why I think that I have lasted for 25 years as a transsexual man because I just
yeah.
lived my life.
Yeah, then I think it's terribly important because I think the education is the most important thing in all this world. You know, now we have the internet; it's easier to find it. But in your time, it was really hard. You know, so how was all the
It,
situation? You have some troubles, a lot of troubles
yes.
to be in a you know to
Yes.
do
I
all
didn't
the surgeries and everything. How it happened?
Well, I mean, it's a very I don't even know how I transitioned without the internet. It actually shocks me too. I
Yeah,
had it speaks volumes to wanting to stay alive. I wanted to stay alive, and the only way I would stay alive is this I became a man. And so
correct.
I got to learn about it through books. We didn't have the internet. I was lucky enough to find a book that took me to a doctor in Los Angeles. But, nobody would understand this today because all you have to do is Google. All you have to
Yes.
call a friend on the internet or, it's nowhere near what I did. And I'm lucky that I survived, but I believe the universe put me here so that people can see that you don't have to live a life of untruth. You can live your own truth no matter what. Because look, I did it.
Yes. Very well. And you had some kind of influences when the beginning, when you start out with everything, you tried to search anything about how
Yeah.
can do it in a very, you know, in a better way at that time.
Well, I tried. So eventually, the internet eventually came on, and
Mhm.
I would search for transsexual man, or very few things were on. They didn't have any information. There was hardly any information for penis surgery. There was no
Mhm.
information for getting my breasts removed. There was no information for taking testosterone. Everything I did, I was the first person for my doctors. So I was an experiment. They didn't know what they
Oh,
were doing. They had no clue at
oh
all.
my God.
Yeah, it was scary. I was scared because I didn't get to go to Google and look at a picture of a trans man. I just had to be like, what am I going to look like? I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I think sometimes it's easier to some people, you know, because you have been passing for a lot of stuff and a lot people can learn a lot in internet. So I
Mhm.
think for some people it's easier to do this process, and they don't think that is important. That's very important, but it's a kind
Yeah.
of life safer when you can do it and when you know how the information. So I think it's extremely important for you know
That's
uh,
right. So,
understand that you have to keep fighting.
well, that's the thing that a generation today needs to really understand their entitlement on some level to just Google transgender, to just
Correct.
Google, gay, or you have so much more than I ever had. But that doesn't mean anything. It only means that I found the space to transition in. And it means to me that it shows anybody in the world can become who they need to become if you have seriously the passion and the resilience to do it. It doesn't matter.
Right.
I proved it. I proved it.
And I think it's extremely important to be self-confidence and be outside the box. You know, we have a lot of problems here in Brazil because it's a very religious. There's a lot of religion people here. It's very conservative. I think people think that Brazil, people walk naked in the streets, everything is samba, but it's not. You know, it's a horrible place for the LGBT. And I think it's extremely important to think about it, about being self-confidence now in this moment, because the families and the church and everything trying to make you down. So I
Well,
think you said a lot about it, you know, in your
right.
speech.
But it's not only the church. It's not only the church, my friend. We have a community now, and the whole
Right.
LGBTQ community is separating each other because
True.
now has a different idea or a political stance or what makes you this or this is this, and they're redefining what makes you this or that. And when you redefine things that are already in use, you're going to make a problem. So now there's a
Right.
lot of problems in our community that we don't like each other. And that is what I'm going to tell you is the point we need to talk about more than any other subject in the
True.
LGBTQ community is how do me and you put aside our differences. We don't have to think alike and we don't have to even vote for the same person. But what we
Right.
need to understand is that I should be free as a transsexual man. I should be free to think however I like to think. And that is the problem with the community is they're not giving people an opportunity to freely think on our own.
Right.
That's dangerous behavior.
Yeah, you know, it happens all the time with us. You know, we are with a film festival. We are talking about a lot of, you know, about all the LGBT letters, but sometimes we have a lot of troubles with people who doesn't think that we are uh, talk about them, you know, but they never, for example, go there for the festival to see if they're woman or trans people there. They don't go there and they complain it about it, you know. So it's hard because we have to be together and work together for everything that represented us. And we can feel it here, you know. It's crazy because we have a big difference. If you are poor, you're going to be in a different way. You're not going to be in the same team, you know. So I think it makes us very weak, you know, for all these situations.
That's the problem. The problem is, let me tell you, the word inclusivity. You know that
Mm-hmm.
word?
Yes,
Inclusivity.
right.
Very dangerous. And
Mm-hmm.
my connection is not so great. Sorry.
Okay,
The
no
word
problem.
inclusivity can be dangerous because you cannot always include everybody. You cannot do
Right.
that. It will not
It's
work. The
impossible.
world is
Yes.
not, yeah,
Yes.
it's not possible to represent every single person, and you should not have to. Women
Mm-hmm.
should have their space if they want to. Men should have their own space. Trans people, gay people, we should all have our own space. It's
Right.
not possible to represent.
Yeah, you know, and one thing that I have been seeing that there's a lot of people, especially trans people, who doesn't know all the products that are being done for. You know, you were the first one who did a very special product that is the buck off.
That's
It's
right.
amazing to know. It's a fantastic thing to do and make life to people better. But there's a lot of people who are trans, especially here in Brazil, who doesn't know about these products.
Yeah.
So why did you decide to create this product and how it's done?
Well, I created this product, the buck off, because I believe sex is a very important part of being a human being. And if you
Yes.
have sex, sometimes transsexual men don't feel comfortable with their bodies. And so what I wanted to do was give transsexual men or transgender men an opportunity to explore their body without touching it, because some men, they don't want to touch, if they still have a vagina, they don't want to touch it. And I understand that. So what this
Mm-hmm.
product does, real quick, what this product does is it helps transgender men masturbate without touching their genitals. And it
Right.
looks like a little penis. So see how it looks like a little penis? And then if you
Yes.
put it over top of your genitals, and then look, watch what I do. I'm stroking just like a
Mm-hmm.
man. So
Right.
that
Nice.
it really helped so many transgender men alleviate their dysphoria around their
Mm-hmm.
genitals. Many men like me don't get penis surgery just because, for whatever reason, but they are having a problem being sexual. So this
Right.
helped them more sexual, and then it just became a big deal across the whole world.
Yes. And how do you create it? How is the process to create a
So
product? You know,
so I
you do
made
a
one.
lot of tests and
Uh-huh. Yeah, so what I did is I had already made one for my own personal use, but there
all
was no
right.
this on that for trans men ever. And so I went to a company and I asked the company, there's no sex toys for transgender men.
Yeah, sure.
Look, nobody would do it. No company would do it. And finally I found one company that would do it for me. And then they did it.
Nice.
I created a whole bunch of toys. I created that. I created this one.
Mm-hmm. Nice. And the packers,
And then I created
also
a
packers.
so that men can pack and have a penis and have sex with it. So I created
Yes.
a line of products for transgender men so they can feel good about their bodies.
Yeah, I think it's a great service to know for the trans community and
Thank
for
you.
a lot of people, not for a lot for everyone, you know, because it's
Use
the
it.
best way to have fun and to understand how it feels and can
Yeah,
give pleasure for both of you know them. So it's fantastic. I
yeah.
think people
Thank you.
sometimes
I'm very lucky I get to do all the things I get to do. But let me tell
yeah.
you, the universe
Hmm.
is very important, and people need to learn to connect to the universe. The universe will give you everything you need as long as you're not only taking from the universe. You have to give back to the world, and then the world will give back to you. It's
Yes. True. And you know, for you, what's the makes a man and what makes a woman for you? Gender for you is it's what you make it. You can make it your gender, and it can we define our own gender?
Well, I define my own gender to be masculine and be male. I live as a man. I do not live as a trans man. I do not live non-binary. None of that. I live fully in the binary, and I had what we call a sex change back in the day. I transitioned to live as a man. Now that being
Mm.
said, I have no idea what it means to be a man.
Yeah.
I have no idea what it means to be a woman. None.
Yeah.
That attitude is socially constructed for sure. What I don't think is socially constructed is gender. I think, I mean, is our sex. So
Right.
biological sex is real. I transitioned from a woman to a man. Now, gender can be thought of however you want that to be. So there is no right or wrong, and that's the problem with this community. Respect my choice to live binary male, and I'll respect
Yeah.
your choice to live non-binary. It's easy. I have no qualms about that. But I think people keep challenging biology, and they keep challenging sex as non-real. It's totally real. It's 100% real. It's why I had a sex change. How are you
Yes.
transgender if biology isn't real? You see, it's so, I just come from a more conservative space of understanding my transition from female to
Yeah.
male. So that's
And
it. I don't think
uh,
there's any way to be at all. It's how you feel comfortable.
yes. And why do you think that's so important for the people uh, determinate the gender, to determinate what the people are? You know, why for them it's so important? You know, because it's not for them, it's not their life. So why they care so much about another people's life? Why
Yeah,
do you think it's happened?
I know. Well, my opinion. My opinion is why people care so much how I identify, how you identify, because they're not happy. People who
Mm-hmm.
are happy with themselves, like you and me, we don't care what other people are doing. I don't care at all. As long as you're not hurting me, as long as you're not
True.
hurting anybody in my community, as long as you're trying to make a difference and trying to learn. Sometimes people are going to misgender you. Sometimes people are going to say things that might feel very upsetting to you. But that's your
Right.
opportunity to educate. Not everybody knows everything. They don't. Give people a little slack. Once you give
Mm-hmm.
people a little slack and you say, oh, well, you just don't understand, let me help you. But if people don't want to change their mind, then just move on. But I pretty much think most people who point fingers at me and you is because they're not happy and they're
True.
trying to push on everybody else. I always know that when people attack me, I just know they're not happy and I just
True.
don't care.
Yeah, it's incredible. I saw some interviews and you were really calm, you know, people ask you horrible questions and you just laugh and say, you know,
Yeah,
it's
that's
so
right.
I think it's the key, you know, for maybe be happy, don't be care about what they really think or what they're trying to do. Sometimes they're trying to attack you.
That's
So you
right.
have to be calm and try to educate. If not, just out, get out because it's
Calm.
not worth all this trouble, you know. So I
Yes.
think you are fantastic because you are very, you know, calm and
You
and
have to
try to educate. So it's amazing. It's not everyone who usually can do this.
remember how old I am. I'm 58 years old. I've been around the block a million times. You learn a
Yeah.
lot with age. I'm a lot older than most of this community. I'm like one of the oldest trans people out there. That said, I have a different vision because I've just been through it all. So I totally understand the youth today and why they're so angry. And I was the same way when I was that age. But what the
Right.
youth but what I did not have when I was the younger generation, I didn't have somebody like me. And I'm not saying
Right.
that I'm the end all be all, I'm not. But I have a lot of information that many youth
Yes.
use. And one of those things I have is patience. We don't have patience anymore. We're only like bam, 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 bam. You
True.
do that, we will not survive. So,
Just try to talk and educate. And
yeah,
what about the conservative? There's a lot of conservative LGBT people here in Brazil too. You know, they are trying to take out our rights to make it down, to make it finish our rights. But there's a lot of LGBT people who are trying to be, you know, conservative, who are trying to be, you know, their
yeah,
slaves. I don't know
yes.
what it is, why it's happened. Why do you think there's a lot of people who are LGBT people who are very conservative and try, you know, who love Trump, for example.
Yeah, we have that
Why
here.
it happens?
I know why it, okay, so my opinion and why it happened in the United States is because
Hmm.
the left here became so far left. And what I mean by that,
Yes.
they started becoming just like the far right. And they started
Hmm.
pushing their agenda on many of us and telling us, you know, people call me transphobic. Can you imagine? That far left group is calling me transphobic. That is not okay. So what's community is breaking up because we're not understanding the bigger picture. The bigger picture is more important than all of this shit down here. Every single one of us is fighting for our right to live our life how we want to live it. Just because you're gay doesn't mean you have to act a certain way. You can be a conservative gay, go right ahead, but understand the ultimate goal. And the ultimate goal is for me and you to live in peace and not have to
Yes.
fight. So I don't, I think people are getting fed up with the far left in the LGBT community. They're very, very pushy and push to take on their beliefs, and that's not okay.
Yes. Okay. Can you? Okay. And we have talked about the importance of the vote. Voting is very extremely important. You think that in this time, because we have election in the United States, and now here we are having an election for major, and some another, you know. But do you think
Uh-huh.
that why it's so important now vote for the right, vote for the people who really care about the LGBT rights. You think the
Well,
people you're going to change the way that they think they're going to vote more in this time, in these elections?
yes, yes. In the United States, 100% everyone will vote. I guarantee you. But there's some funky stuff going on here. I don't really know. I don't trust Trump at all. I don't trust any of that. I feel like I don't even trust anybody in our government. I think they're all
Right.
bad. I think the whole governmental structure is bad and needs to be dismantled. I don't believe that we actually have a democracy. I believe that we are being run now by a fascist government. And
That's
the
like
thing,
here.
that's exactly right. So that's why people in America will vote. They will vote this time. But that
Right.
Trump said he's not going to leave office, even if he loses. So I mean, what's happening in America is scary because what's happening here will affect all the other countries in the world. What happens in the
True.
United States literally goes out to the rest of the world. And it's why
Exactly.
our election is the most important election of the world. Number one, America.
Mhm. And have you seen some caring? Because there's a lot of videos that the people that with women who are, the people are saying that they are caring because they are trying to not use a mask. And have you seen some caring in your life, in these days or not?
Yeah, it's horrible. I can't believe people aren't wearing masks. I mean, that is self-right. It. You know, we're all in this together. COVID is the whole world. We all have to wear a mask,
Yeah.
whether you like it or not. It's like it's very disrespectful not to wear a mask. I'm going to say that. It's disrespectful to other people. If you don't want to wear,
Yes.
stay home, but you have to wear a mask. It's very important.
Yeah, sure. And how we can change the world for you, what's the first thing that we could do for beginning changing the world?
So again, I'm always going to come back to this. It is
Mhm.
important for every member of the LGBT community to be open to educating people who don't understand us. Yes, it is your job as part of our community. You cannot just leave that for other people to do. Every single one of us has to step up and start to be accessible to the world so that the world can start to look as people who will bring good things to the world. They don't see that
Right.
now. They see angry people, so they don't want to deal with that. But if we become more open and we become more of educators, then the rest of the world will start to learn from us. How do I know that? Because that's what I do every single day. I deal with people
Perfect.
who hate me. Every day I deal with people who hate me. But it doesn't matter. Most of the
True.
time, I change them and they end up being my friend because I take the time to say things like, it's not okay to call me a woman and it's not okay to say I'm a freak. These are the things that
Yes.
will make change. And I'm saying this to every single LGBTQ person out there. If you want freedom, you have to help create the freedom. You cannot just be angry and mean and push back. You have to be open to having a conversation.
Okay. And change the subject. Could you tell us how many movies have you done until today? Do you know how many?
I,
That
I,
is a lot of movies, right?
my
And
pornographic. So, are we talking about my pornographic films? I've done only 14 pornographic films, but that's just
oh,
because I wanted to keep my films special. And if I make 100 films, they're not going to be special because I just make
all
100.
right.
But I made, I think, 14 films, and I feel like they're all special. So yeah,
Yes, there's a lot of audiovisual projects like Sexing the Trans Men who are I think is life savers, because helps people understand and it's a kind of education by the the movies.
that's
Do you
right.
think that's important for dealing with to gender dysphoria? That people can
Yes,
understand more and can
Yeah.
understand that they can live well and better.
Yes, because when you start to see your body, like I started my pornography 21 years ago when nobody did it. And I exposed my body to the world. And that was the first time people in the whole world has seen a man with a vagina. It freaked everybody out. But what I need to say is this. It also helped transgender men see their bodies and say, wow, my body is okay. I can have sex with it. I don't have to be ashamed of my body. I really put myself out there exposing my naked body to the world so that the world could see me as a person. It's what I did. And today there's so many trans men who celebrate their bodies now. And so it's
Right.
fantastic. Yeah.
It's fantastic. How was filming the Mr. Angel documentary? It's about 9 years, right? You have
Yeah.
been filming, and
Yeah.
how
So,
was that? How was the response of the audience in the ending?
so
And
I
it
got
was in the books.
so yeah, my movie Mr. Angel is my documentary. It's now on Amazon.
No.
You can watch it on Amazon. But that said, it was a great, it was a great experience. And I think really it won a lot of awards and lots of people write me letters still. It's been out for, I think, over 9 years. And people always write me letters thanking me for exposing my transition to the world. Now there's a lot more documentaries out there, but mine was one of the first out there,
Sure.
transitioning from a woman to a man.
And when you watch it again, do you feel something? Do you feel nostalgia, or you have a special emotional thing?
Yeah.
What do you feel when you see the movie again, the documentary?
I really am very proud that I made it. I'm very proud of the fact that I get to be sort of like a rock on some level for young trans men. They get to see that you can become something. When you're in a marginalized community, you don't see the future. You don't see hope because there's not a lot of people representing trans men. It's growing
Right.
today more, but when I started, there was none. So I really feel so proud of that movie because I think it really helped people resonate that maybe they are transgender and maybe this is going to help them move forward. Look, all I care about with my work is showing
Mhm.
the world that you don't have to kill yourself, that you are worthy of living on this world, that you don't have to conform to any standard of being. I created my own space in this world. I became the man with a vagina in the whole world. No one had ever seen. I created that. And today, 20 years later, here I am, very successful. So I think
Yes.
creating space to show success is very important for me. I want kids to see success. I want them to see their future as being successful.
And how was it when you saw the documentary for the first time in a movie theater with the audience?
Yeah,
What the people said to you about the movie?
it
Did
was
you cry?
we loved it. I mean, it first screened at the first film festival was South by Southwest here in the United States. It was I was scared. I was scared. It was easier to make pornography than it was
Yeah.
for free. But it was, because my family is in it, my whole life is there. And it just feels pretty crazy to see your whole life, on a movie. It's just crazy. But like I said, I feel like the universe really loves me. And I feel like the universe really wants me to bring a message to the world. And, that is that I survived. I tried to commit suicide when I was a kid.
Yes.
I hated my I used to take razor blades and cut my arms and my face, and I drank a lot of alcohol, and I was just a mess. And so, really, the fact that I'm alive and thriving and have so much in my life, it just speaks volumes to becoming authentic in how you live.
Sure. And and there's a lot of I guess there's some people who usually go to you and say thank you that
Yeah.
you changed their lives. How do you deal with the situations when people try to talk about how
Yeah.
you changed their lives?
Yeah, I mean, it's an honor. I can only say it's an honor. Every day I have some young person say, "Thank you, Trampa. Thank you so much for being there. Thank you for fighting
Right.
for me. Thank you for all the work you've done." I have so many youngsters who love me and care about me and really see me as a rock for them. And I'm there to help them. I'm not here for any other, but to help kids get to the space I'm at. It's on some level a huge honor to have kids tell you that. I can't even express it. It's an incredible feeling.
Yes, and how do you see today the portrayal of transgender people on TV? You have a lot of soap operas here, and
Hmm.
now we have some actors who are transgender, doing nice,
Yeah,
acting
yeah,
as a human being, because sometimes we have a lot of trouble with it. Here
yeah,
in the festival, we have almost 600 movies per year
yeah,
that they usually send to us, but there's still the people are still sending a lot of movies when
uh,
transgender people are just like monsters, just like
yeah.
something that you have to write. Do you feel that things is changing in the United States on TV or in the movies? You think
Mm,
that is there trying to make it better, to make it
yeah,
easier, better now?
yeah. Yeah, they are. I mean, they're making a huge effort in Hollywood. They're really making an effort to hire more trans actors, to have more people involved in stuff. Really give trans people more of a space within the film world, and which is awesome. But here's something I want to say about that. I think it's very important that we have representation everywhere, and not just trans people, gay people, black
Yeah.
people, Asian people, Brazilian people, men. We need all of that. But right now, trans people are more marginalized. But that being said, we don't have a lot of trans actors. So, we have to catch up to this space. And that's really important that more people start to understand there's more opportunities for trans people. So trans people should start stepping up and taking those spaces because it might not be like that for long. Right now in 2020, we are having a lot of opportunity for transgender people. So that means transgender people need to step up and get into these spaces because we're being given this opportunity. It won't be forever, but it'll be for now, and we need to take that opportunity. So that's what I want people to hear. This is an opportunity we have to make change. So really, let's step up and all start doing it.
Yes. And do you uh, do you think that maybe in the future, they're going to do more movies where the transgender actors and actresses they're going to be play cis actors, six
Yeah,
not
cisgender.
not to be like not to be like trans acting too. Do you think that's going to change it in the future?
Well, again, if you don't know this, everybody out there, I'm not the guy who necessarily goes with the popular opinion, and I don't toe
Oh,
the line. And what I mean by that is I think a lot different than the rest of a bigger part of the transgender community. So what I'm going to say might not be the popular opinion, and I don't care. But that said, I don't necessarily think you have to hire a transgender actor to play a transgender character. It's like saying
right.
you need to hire a gay person to play a gay character. No, you don't. You need to hire
Yes.
the best actor to play that part. So that being said, if you start to say only transgender people can play transgender people, then what you're going to say is only gay people can play gay people, or only when it comes to race, that's different. A black person needs to play a black person.
Yeah.
An Asian person needs to play an Asian person. But when it comes
True.
to gender or this idea that transgender people can only be playing transgender characters, I disagree. I disagree. And the reason I disagree is because we don't have enough transgender actors to fill that void. And so that's going to stop a movie from being made. If we don't get the movie made, the movie is the most important part of this conversation. The movie
Right.
a transgender person is more important that it gets made than if a transgender actor plays that role. That's just what I believe.
The most important is the screenplay,
That,
right? The history and how the history
yeah,
is done.
the story, you know, and
Story is the best.
that's what I said earlier. Like, we're not going to have this opportunity for long as transgender people. Right now, people are all about transgender people. Remember back in the day, my friend, when it was all about gay people and all they talked about was gay. All they talked about was, it's the same with trans right now. Trans is the conversation. So I'm telling everybody out there, if you want to be a trans actor, there's no better time than to do it now. But don't waste time and go to school and learn to act and be part of it. But don't just want the job because you're trans. That's a cop-out. Don't just want the job because you're just this person. You should want the job because you're a good actor, period.
Right. And why did you decide to live in Mexico for a while? You were
Ah,
upset about United States?
yeah.
Because I think a lot of people in Brazil are trying to change it to another countries because we are really upset and sad about what's happening. So that's crazy.
I feel you. It's not so great. I wish I never moved back. But that said, I lived in Mexico for 10 years because Hurricane Katrina, I lived in New Orleans and Hurricane Katrina hit and it devastated the whole space. And I saw racism at such, I'm from LA, it's not as racist here, but in Louisiana, it's racist. And I wish I was, as a white dude, I was like, what? I had never seen that type of racism in my life. I woke up, I was like, fuck this country, fuck this shit.
Yes.
And I moved to Mexico because I was like, go fuck yourself. I'm not going to live in a country like this. I can't. So for 10 years, I moved to Mexico and I learned so much about the beautiful Yucatan. I lived in the Yucatan, Mexico. I learned so much about Mayan culture. I actually learned so much about the universe living in Mexico. I changed as a person and I became more empathetic and compassionate and just learned about living in my own space and not needing. I don't need all the things. I don't need everything you see behind me. I don't need it. I don't need
Right.
it. It's there, but I don't need it. I learned a lot of this idea of wanting things, right? Of having too much stuff. I learned this idea that we teach people in America about having material possessions. So many
Right.
material possessions. And so I learned to actually love myself and know that I don't need anything
So
but my own self. And that was very powerful for me.
yeah, I was really surprised because at the time that I was there in the United States, I saw that people waste a lot of food. It's crazy because sometimes buy a large plate and eat just a little and throw out a lot of food. So what? It never happens here. It's crazy.
I know.
And still having all this problem. Now it's happening, all this protest, like the Black Lives Matter. How do
Yep.
you feel about it? It's
It's
you
important.
you're back to the United States in a very situation that racism is very strong,
Yeah.
still strong in your country. How do you are you dealing with it?
Well, I mean, like I said earlier, I moved out of this country because I hated the racist bullshit here. I hate it. But I'm only one guy. I can only do so much. Black Lives Matter wasn't as big. Today we have Black Lives Matter. Excellent. We have to talk about racism. And the thing with Black Lives Matter is it opens the conversation of racism. Racism isn't just about black people, it's about all people of color who aren't white. So,
Sure.
even Asians have, problems in this country, even Brazilians, Latino, all kinds of people who are not white men.
Hmm.
White women even have problems. Black Lives Matter opened up conversation. And if we do not have conversation, things will not change. So that's why I love organizations that create change for the betterment of all of us. It's not just about black people. It's about the betterment of all people. That's what people
All
miss
right.
about Black Lives Matter. It's about helping us all learn about racism, about what it means, about how we can get rid of it and start to become better human beings. That's what Black Lives Matter is.
True. And have you visited Brazil? For how many times have you been here in Brazil?
Only
Did you
once.
like it? Oh, it makes Brazil.
It's
It
a lot.
makes in fact. Yes. No, there's a big difference here because the Latin people usually love to hug and kiss, and all it's
Of
completely different, right?
it.
It's
That's
the same in Mexico. It's the same.
ex-
Latin people are similar in this kind of
yep.
affection, because it's completely different. If you go to our show, if there's a lot of Latin people, they're
Yeah.
going to sing together and,
That
stand up.
I
It's
learned.
completely different sometimes.
I also learned this thing that we as white people don't necessarily do. Now, I'm not going to speak for all white people, but a very
All
specific
right.
group of white, where I come from in my family, we were not very loving and we were not very affectionate. I didn't grow up with affection. I did not grow up with being told I love you. None of that. When I went to Mexico, I was like, what? Family first. Family first. It doesn't matter about any
Family first.
family first. And I learned that. And I thought about that in my community. I thought about the LGBTQ community. We don't love each other. We don't care about each other. We only care about ourselves. We have created a narcissistic society which has fucking leaked to the LGBT community. I'm 58 years old. I have been fighting for gay rights for 30 plus years. All of my friends died of AIDS. All of my friends, every single one of them died of AIDS 30 years ago. I fought as a woman for AIDS, HIV, for education. So I have been around a long time with this community. And I have never, I'm going to say it here, never seen that disrespect that tore apart, the anger that we have towards each other. And it is actually mind blowing because we will not succeed. I keep saying it. You and I are the same people. We want the same.
Right.
Why are we arguing about what fucking toilet we use? Get over that. Fuck off. It doesn't
Yeah.
matters is that you and I live in freedom and we need to get here. We don't need to be here. The toilet
Right.
conversation is important, but it is not the most important conversation. The most important
Yes.
conversation is that we learn to accept our differences between each other because we will always have differences forever and forever. We will. We're not the same. I am not the same as every trans person in the community. Far from it. You are not the same as every gay man. Far from it. Why are we not having the
Right.
conversation and embracing our differences?
And why do you think the people are so afraid that that's going to be happening
Yeah.
in a restaurant? They think that they're going to have a sex attacks or something like that. Why the people are so afraid about this kind of situation? We have a lot of problems, this kind of problems here yet in Brazil.
Yeah.
Why do you think the people care so much about going to the bathroom, to the right bathroom, with the gendered bathroom?
Yep. I think the reason why the bathroom conversation is still at the top of our conversation is because the people who hate us, the people who want to kill us, the people who want us to not have rights are creating that conversation so that me and you can have an argument over what toilet we use while they are over here changing laws on us. So me and you are arguing about where the fuck I'm gonna take a piss, where the fuck I'm gonna take a shit. You know what? If you don't want me to piss in the toilet, I'll shit outside. I don't care. I have a right to take a
Yeah.
shit anywhere I want. That being said, why are me and you wasting our time talking about it? We should not be talking about, we should be talking about what they're talking about. Because now we're looking over here. They got us. They got us. We're arguing between each other who's going to use the toilet. When they're over there changing laws about who gets to take hormones, what it means to be trans, no rights left for gay people, no more gay marriage. And here we are talking about where we're going to take a shit. Stupid.
Yeah, there's a very big difference, in some families because there are some trans kids who have a lot of support from their families and someone not. Sometimes the parents prefer that they kill themselves
That's right.
because they really they want to see the change.
Yeah,
You think that's kind of be lucky or not, survive or not as a kid, as a trans kid that has sometimes have the luck of have a good parents.
that's right. That's right. Yeah, we're lucky because not a lot of kids have nice parents. And parents are actually also, we need to talk about parents. The parents are lost. There is no information for parents. When a parent, you know how many parents contact me? Oh my God, Buck, my kid just said they were trans. They never said it before. They came home from school and they want to have their boobs cut off and take hormone blockers. I'm like, what? Like, it's just this thing that's happening, but it's happening. We can't stop it. So we need to educate. We need to educate parents are lost. People are telling people are telling parents, if you don't give your kid hormone blockers, they'll kill themselves. That's not true. That's not true. You can't say that. Every kid is different. So we don't doctors who know what the fuck they're talking about. We just have this idea that if a person says they're trans, they're trans. That's not true. Kids say all kinds of shit. Kids say all kinds of things. Kids are influenced by the internet. I'm not saying that there's no trans kids. Of course there are. But we need to have a process. You can't just go, I'm trans, and then just start shooting hormones. You need to go to therapy. You need to talk about it, figure it out. You need to slide into your transition. You don't need to be like, bam, I'm going to cut my tits off and like take testosterone.
Yeah,
And, that's very
true.
dangerous behavior.
And what you have done in this time, in this pandemic, you took some pictures with Chris, right?
Oh,
Yesterday. Have you done creative stuff in the pandemic time, in this time that we are living now at
yes.
home,
Yeah.
trying to be creative?
I love
What you
it.
have been done?
Wow. Wow. This
I
looks,
love the pictures.
isn't
They
amazing.
look amazing.
I love him. He's so great. He has such great energy. Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's important to try to do something different in this time, right? So
That's
I
right. Yeah.
thought that it was a great idea. I really love the pictures. Have you done a lot of this kind of things during this time, during this pandemic or not? Or you just being home, doing lives? What you have been done in these days?
So mostly what I'm focusing on is I'm creating new products that will come out in January. So mostly I'm creating sexual toys, products for transgender men. I'm also not doing a lot of speaking because I used to travel all over the world and speak, but I created this new product right here called the Buckshot, which is an actual erection drink. So so you can have,
Nice.
it's all natural. And
Cool.
also work in the cannabis field. So I also I created the first LGBT focused cannabis company in California called Pri.
Wow.
Yeah, so I'm kind of busy.
Yes.
I also have an 8-year-old kid, so he has to go to school on the internet. That's a lot.
Yeah. It's great, because you create a lot of stuff who are really important. I think it's going to be in the history forever.
Thank you.
And thank you very much for everything. And
No,
there's a question. We have just a few minutes.
yeah,
And I have a question that I usually ask for everyone. Do you remember which one was your first LGBT movie ever that you saw?
oh, that's a great.
The first ever, what were you doing? You were with your
No,
family or parents or not?
the movie that I saw, I was a woman. I was a woman and I was a gay woman. And it was the first lesbian. There were two lesbian movies. One was called Liana. Look it up, Liana. It's excellent. It was made in like 1980 something. I'm old. So I think it was called
All
Liana.
right,
It was a lesbian movie.
Leon.
Like, what? And then the other movie I saw was called Go Fish. And Go Fish was
Goldfish.
a very famous lesbian movie. So those were the very first two gay movies that I saw. Never forget that in
Great.
my life. That's when I knew I'm a lesbian.
And the last one that you saw, the
The
last
last,
one movie, exhibited. Yes.
oh, Circus of Books. Have you seen that?
Oh yes, it's the Netflix here in this
Yes.
country.
So that movie is done by my wife. So that the woman who
No,
directed
really didn't know that. It's amazing. I
is my
love this movie.
So yeah, her parents own that store for 50 years, and it's a very famous sex shop in Los Angeles.
Yes, it's great. Congratulations for her. It's a
Thank
great movie.
you. Yeah,
I love it.
thank you. Yeah, it's a very important the history of the LGBT community. It's very, very important movie.
And shows how everything happens, because the owners, they are not LGBT, and they're doing all this company for LGBT community, so it's great. And
That's
her vision is amazing.
oh, thank you.
So it's great movie. It's nice.
Thank
And
you.
could you give,
So
could you,
so that movie actually got an Emmy nomination, which is a big deal because
wow.
it talks about gay porn. That's a big
Yeah.
first of its kind to get an Emmy nomination, and now we're hoping, everyone please put good energy, we're hoping that she gets an Oscar nomination. So
Yeah,
big
deserve it. Must have it.
yeah,
Because it's history. It's just like that we have been talking about. It's
ex-
important to know about what happened in the past to understand what's happening now.
that's right.
And could you give some advice for LGBT people here in Brazil, who are at a place that are more
Yeah,
prejudiced against
well, I
LGBTs in the
wouldn't
world?
say, I'm not gonna give advice because I don't know if I'm good at advice, but what I want to say to the people of Brazil is this: we see you, the communities across the world see you. We know what you're struggling with because your struggle is our struggle. And so we want, and I want you to know this. I think of you often. I know what's happening there. It's going to make me cry because I think we are such hurt people. We are so hurt that we don't know how
Mhm.
to love each other. And because of
True.
we do not move forward in the world. So, what I want everybody in Brazil to hear is this: your pain is the same pain I have, and the same pain they have. And once we all learn our pain is the same, we start to have compassion for each other. You are no different than me, and I am no different than you. But what we must understand is, I'll say it again, the petty bullshit that me and you do to each other will kill us. It will actually kill us. So if you care about creating a better world and you actually care about this community and your own self, you will start stopping the arguing and the meanness that we do to each other on the internet. You have to promise me. We have to start to talk real to each other, and we have to start to love each other, and we have to stop tearing each other apart. That's all I'm going to say to you. I see you, Brazil, and you are important to me. And if you get free, we all become free. That's what I want to say.
Nice. Oh my God, I got very emotional too. Thank you very much. It was amazing. I think it's the truth that we have to deal, that we have to try to change the world. So thank you very much. You were amazing. It was a great honor to talk with you.
Thank you.
Like I told you, are a model for all this fight, for all this fight for trying to be a human being and to be respected and to
Yeah.
have all to be and to people understand that we must live with love and peace and everything. So thank you very much for accepted to be with us in this time. You are amazing. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you very much, Clark.
Have a beautiful festival, and I'll be thinking of you. And if anyone needs me out there, I'm always accessible. Send me a DM if you need personal.
Yeah, I hope to see you soon.
Yeah.
And after the pandemic, maybe you can come
Oh,
visit us here. It's in the Middle West in Brazil. It's very hot. We're feeling very hot these days, but it's like Texas. But
I
there's a lot of things to do. It's very important for you to stay here with us one day because it could be a great honor to us.
want to
And
come
it's amazing having you next to us and understand what we have been passing through. So thank you very much. And I
okay.
hope to see you soon, right?
Day. I'll talk to you later.
Thank,
Bye.
talk to you later. Kisses. Thank you.
Kisses. Bye.